What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It's time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, Zwarych. We have a very special show today. No Damon, but I do have a fellow agent joining me, my former co-host with the Ticket to Reality podcast back in the day, Ryan Cortero. How you doing, my friend?
I am so glad to be back, and I'm very glad it is for this movie that we're going to be talking about today.
You've been excited for this movie since it was not even announced, since it was just small little details getting put out there to the public, and we are finally going to break down Sinners from Ryan Coogler, and this is a pretty great film, and I can't wait to break it down. You've got some exciting life stuff going on too, though. You've been busy as all hell. How are things going as you're coming into the final couple weeks as a not married man?
So we're interesting way of putting it, but yes, I am getting married in a few weeks now, and that has been keeping me busy. But right now we're in a good place, so that's why it was a good time that Sinners got moved from March to April, because I was very busy in March. So it getting moved to this close to the wedding actually worked out in my favor. And I'm glad that I had the time to finally go see it, because after seeing all the positive reviews, I would not have been able to contain myself to hold back on waiting for this any longer.
Helping us break down this movie as well, we got two people who, I don't think we're going to have any negative reviews, because I know they were a big fan of this movie as well. Both from the alternate timelines. We've had them on separately. First time on the show together. First up, we got Jam. How you doing, Jam?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you guys for having me. Ryan, first and foremost, congratulations. That's awesome, dude. Much love to you and your lady. Yeah, man, I'm appreciated that you guys have me on to talk about this, a phenomenal movie to me.
Can't wait to break it down with you, my friend. And we got your co-host on as well. We got Dennis. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, how we doing? Thanks for having me on again as well. It's been, I believe, since Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was the last time. And also, yes, congratulations, Ryan, for sure. I know we haven't been on a podcast together or a show together yet, but I see you all the time, and I like what you're putting out to the world. So, yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
If you haven't done so already, check out the alternate timeline wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. Before we start breaking down Sinners, I want to talk a little bit about what you guys have been watching, because Ryan, you haven't been on the show in a long time. All three of you, it's been a while since you've been on, so I want to know what you've been watching. And before we even do that, those of you watching us on YouTube, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We got a lot of really fun stuff coming. If you're listening to this already, that means my first one, but with two of the cast members of Andor interview should be up on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. I talked to Kyle Solar and Denise Gao, Dedra Miro, and Cyril Karn, a couple of the Empire members of the cast, and we had really good chats about their motivations and their loyalty to the Empire. Talked a little bit about the inner feelings of that crazy relationship the two of them have going and will have throughout Andor season 2. And I've gotten a chance to see Andor season 2 already, and first reactions are out. It was basically across the board from everybody who has seen it. People are saying this is the best Star Wars anything that has ever come out before. This, or at least, on the light side of things, the best season of television, of Star Wars live action television. I'm not as high on it as most people. I thought it was a little bit uneven. I thought season 2 would have been way better if it was stretched out into 2 more seasons as opposed to this being the final season, as there being a 2 and a 3, maybe even a 4. The way they kind of have the time jumps between every 3 episode arc kind of halted the momentum for me especially through the beginning of the season. It kind of felt like, fine, okay, whatever, 2 episodes, and then a banger of a conclusion to the arc. Then 2, fine, whatever episodes, then a banger of a conclusion to the arc. And then the second half goes pretty hard through the whole time. I'm not going to lie to you. The second half is pretty incredible, top tier Star Wars all the way throughout. So I thought this would have been better if they stretched it 3 seasons instead of just 2. And I'm not quite as it's perfect, so wonderfully incredible as everybody else seems to be. But I still really liked it. This is still a wonderful season of television. Andor is the gold standard for Star Wars live action television, and it remains that with season 2. Ryan, what have you been watching?
No, funny you mentioned that. Because of the positive reviews to Andor season 2, it made me want to go back and rewatch season 1, and I've been really enjoying it. I think doing it as a binge is a much different experience than the week-to-week format. And that's what we're going to be getting with season 2, where it's 3 episodes every week. And it is going to be a bit of a lot of content to get through for that one day, and you're trying to avoid spoilers every week. But I'm excited because Tony Gilroy, the creator of the show, said it's going to feel like a movie every week. And it's, again, with Star Wars Celebration going on, I'm kind of in a Star Wars mood. So I thought, get back into the Star Wars things. We haven't had a movie in a long time, but we are getting 2 new ones coming out officially, which is, thank goodness. It's, but yeah, I'm kind of in a Star Wars kick right now. So I'm going to get through Andor season 1 and right before season 2 comes out this Tuesday, I believe.
Immediately after finishing Andor season 2, I watched Rogue One. And then I have since watched A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Haven't gotten to Return of the Jedi yet, but I also started rewatching Rebels last night. And so I too am in a Star Wars kick. Star Wars Rebels is my favorite Star Wars anything ever. Movie, television, animated, live action. Rebels is number 1 on the list for me. And so it was very exciting to see a little still of Zeb for the Mandalorian and Grogu coming out next year. It was awesome to see that the full Ghost crew is going to be part of Ahsoka season 2, which is starting filming next week or something. So can't wait, or this week, whatever it is. Can't wait for all the Star Wars content we have coming. We will be live every week, myself and Damon, with wonderful guests breaking down Andor season 2. Plus, we do still have more interviews coming for Andor season 2. I'm going to be talking to Genevieve O'Reilly, aka Mon Mothma, as well as Stellan Skarsgård, aka Luthen Rael, at the Andor live red carpet in Toronto next week. So stay tuned for that. Plus, this is why you got to be hitting the like button, subscribing wherever you get your podcasts, hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out. I can't tell you what yet. I can't tell you with who or when it is, but I can tell you that we have a massive, my personal biggest one ever, interview with a certain member of the Thunderbolts cast coming. I can't tell you when it's dropping, but we got.
I know who it is. I gotta guess.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned, because I am excited for this to drop. Jam, what you been watching?
Man, I feel left out. No Star Wars stuff. I'll tell you that. I've been actually binging Abbott Elementary with my lady. It's been a really good experience. I think the season finale just came out for season 4. I think it was Tuesday. So we're actually in season 4 now, almost done. I've been talking about it with my guy Rico. Me and Dennis have a group chat of all Black creators. So we call it the Wakandan Council. So I've been talking about it with my guy over there. Just here and there, but besides that, personally, without my lady, I've actually been binge watching what I would call I'm 31 for retro, for perspective. So, what I would call the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon from 2003. If you ask my guy Wednesday Pull, though, shout out to Wednesday Pull. If you ask him, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan guy, he would kill me. But Yeah, that's what I've been watching on the side. I've watched some of it here and there when I was a kid, but I really wanted to sit and actually binge through it all, really take it all in. And I really love that era of cartoons like Justice League Unlimited and that whole era, 2000 Teen Titans. So just to rewatch that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon is such a good time.
I'll be doing press at the Calgary Expo next weekend, and the 1990 live action movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle full cast is April O'Neil, Judith Hogue will be there, and all the turtles are going to be there. So that should be fun to get a chance to get to see them. One other thing I've been watching that I forgot to, I watched last night that I forgot to bring up was Mufasa. I finally got around to watching that. Got to say, I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. Music was kind of not bad, but lacking, compared to like what I was expecting from a Lion King project. I did kind of think as I was watching it, I wish this was animated and not what it is. But I did enjoy the movie quite a bit. Dennis, what you been watching?
Okay, so live action. Me and my girl have been watching. We finished Paradise. We are caught up in Severance now. So pissed at that ending, but caught up. So that could be a whole show, but yeah. We're in the middle. I'm rewatching Game of Thrones. This is her first time watching it. Trying to get her caught up on House of the Dragons, like up to House of the Dragons where everybody's at. And then anime side, I know Windbreakers is out right now, and Fire Force. Those are the two like big ones in anime that I'm watching. And then I have on my list Devil May Cry on Netflix. I still have to watch that. Haven't gotten to it yet, but it looks good from all the clips I've been seeing. So that's it, man.
For more on those shows, check out the alternate timeline. Glad you're caught up on Paradise and Severance, two of the very best shows of 2025 so far. I've been saying all year prior to Sinners coming out that 2025 has been like all time for television, right? Like we have Severance, we have Paradise, we have Andor season 2 coming out, we have The Last of Us season 2 coming out. We have The Pit, which I haven't started watching yet, but it's number 1 on the list to get to, that everybody is talking about how incredible this show is. And I'm sure I'm missing lots of just like The Studio right now is out and getting rave reviews, like just top tier television. But movies, and honestly, dating back to 2024 too, I feel like it's been a while since I've gone to the theater and seen like a really, really great movie. And I think that finally happened when I went back to the theater and I saw Sinners. This is by far my favorite movie of 2025 so far. I can't wait to fully dive into it with you guys. But before we do, I want to talk about the director of this film, Ryan Coogler, because my first question to you guys is, I think we need to start considering this man as one of the like top tier, very best directors in Hollywood. You know, when people think of directors, we think Spielberg, Scorsese, Chris Nolan, James Cameron, these dudes who have been around, Quentin Tarantino, these dudes who have been around for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, whatever, and who have made 3, 4, not 3, 4, but 10, 9, 12, 20, 30 films. Coogler has not been around that long. He has not made that many films. But in terms of very best in the world to be doing it right now, I think Ryan Coogler deserves to be in that category because genuinely, I don't think this guy's ever made a bad film. Ryan, do you think Ryan Coogler should be considered one of the top directors in the entire world?
Oh, 100%. And honestly, like, because you were mentioning those directors, like, I never felt that way about a director. Like, you know, when people are like, they're seated day one for like a Nolan movie or, you know, a Scorsese movie. I've never felt that way about a certain director until Coogler came around. And it wasn't until Black Panther like that really solidified it for me. Like I saw Creed one time and then went back, saw his directorial debut of Fruitvale Station, and then I was like, yeah, this guy like knows what he's doing. And he was only 25 around that time when he did that. So it's like that getting that kind of like degree and like doing that in a 10-year span, 5 movies, all bangers, like it's like okay, this and writing them, like writer and director, it's like okay, like you already have the sauce, like okay, just keep cooking. Like and I'm again, it makes me so excited to see what he does next. But
Shout out to the doggo.
like oh yeah, like and like that's the thing, like I think Coogler for me is that director, like where I'm like, I don't care what you're working on, like if I see your name on something as a writer director, I'm there. Like you don't need to sell me on anything else, just your name alone is what gets me in the seat.
It helps so much that like I've always had that for actors, and I'm with you. I've never really had that for directors. Like I will probably go see any Christopher Nolan movie that comes out, just regardless. But it helps that it's also always going to have a mega amazing cast. And we're starting to see that with Coogler or not starting to. We've been seeing that for Coogler movies as well, where he has the standout cast. So it helps that you're basically always getting Michael B. Jordan anytime you get a Coogler movie. But I'm with you. Like, in terms of people in the world, like directors, filmmakers in the world right now, where if I see their name, it's going to make me go to the movie. Coogler might be one for me as well at the moment. Jam, what do you think? Is he approaching top director in the world, top filmmaker in the world category?
I think so. And to Ryan's point, like movies I haven't seen from Coogler is I haven't seen Fruitvale Station. It's on my list as well, and it's just it's a hard watch. So I have to really put myself in that space to get there. But I think the thing that Coogler does so well is his influence and impact while also entertaining. When you can have a voice or have like you can impact and influence people, but still also entertain them. I think when you combine those two things, it automatically, and no matter what it is, Kobe, as a basketball, as an athlete, like whatever you bring your craft to, and you can do those things, I think you're a genius immediately. I think that genius is something you like to spread, and so for me, it's like watching Coogler, not only his growth, but the influence and impact that he's had in the culture and in the industry. It blows my mind. And I definitely think that when I sit, like again, to Ryan's point, when I sit and think about, I seen a post, like I think it was Thursday night or maybe yesterday, Friday, but the person was saying like, I'm 31, thinking about what filmmaker I'm going to grow old with and like want to go see their movies. And I think that's Coogler for me, or at least he, like to your point, CJ, he's one of those filmmakers that I want to watch everything you're in. Like, I need to see it. I want to be seated day one or second day, whatever. But I want to grow old watching this person make movies, make film, bring art to life. And I think he's the guy.
Dennis, where are you at with this conversation? You making it unanimous that Coogler belongs in the theater? And then I also want to know, what was the first Coogler film you watched? What's your favorite Coogler film you've watched?
The first one was Fruitvale Station. Actually, it was a while ago, so as some of the details I couldn't like recall, but I remember that one being like a heavy one, being like, damn, like that's a crazy one to watch. But yeah, I think he's in that conversation for me as well. I second what both Jam and Ryan said, and just like he's got like even within some of the movies that he has out now. He's got some all-time scenes. Like, even in this movie, he's got a couple that are like, these scenes might live on forever. Like, this is crazy. So he's definitely cemented in that spot for me. And like James said, I would like to go to every single one of his movies, kind of grow old with that director. And I think he's also not like a control freak. I don't know. I'm just like guessing here, but like he doesn't seem like somebody that says no to a lot of like suggestions and stuff. Because I feel like I could feel a lot of Michael B. Jordan in the movie as well. You know, he's a creative as well, so like I can feel a lot of his influences in some of the movies that he does too. So yeah, I think he's great. I think he's great. I can't say enough about him.
First Coogler movie, or what favorite Coogler movie? You said first. You said first. What was your favorite?
Okay. And it is a loaded question. And you know what's crazy though? It's Wakanda Forever still for me. Like it's Wakanda Forever. Sinners can like it'll have to sit with me still before I can like give it that. But I just like with everything that he had almost kind of going against him and still produce that movie, which I think is still slept on. It was one of my favorites to break down with my friends and stuff like that too. So like I loved Wakanda Forever. I know Black Panther had the culture and that experience, that movie experience was crazy. But Wakanda Forever like genuinely made me cry. I was just cry. But yeah, I thought he handled something that was almost impossible very well.
Black Panther is my first and favorite Coogler movie. But having said that, I don't disagree that Wakanda Forever, especially considering the circumstances, is actually a better film. I think Black Panther is the more enjoyable movie, but I think Wakanda Forever might actually be the higher quality filmmaking of the two of them. Jam, how about you? First and favorite Coogler movie?
First, I probably was Black Panther. I think I'm trying to think before that because I didn't. Is it Fruitville Station? And then he does what after that? I don't even remember what was the
Creed
next
after
one.
that. Yeah.
I haven't seen the Creed movies, believe it or not, because I want to watch. I haven't seen the Rockies either, so I want to watch all of those and then get into Creed. But so yeah, it would be Black Panther for me. And well, the first movie I seen. As far as my favorite, I think I'm torn between Wakanda Forever and Sinners, because Sinners, there's some scenes in there that hit really kind of personal for me. But Wakanda Forever also is such a like intimate and movie that, you know, just focuses a lot on grief. So it's a toss up between those two. If I had to pick, I would go with Wakanda Forever because, like to Dennis's point, I think I need to sit with Sinners a little bit. I don't want the recency bias. I still think it's one of the best films I've ever seen in my life, but I don't want to say it's my favorite just because of recency bias. I need to also go back and rewatch Wakanda Forever to see how I feel about the two. But so I would say for now it's Wakanda Forever for sure.
Ryan, in addition to being such a big Coogler fan, you have a few actors like a Sterling K. Brown or a Michael B. Jordan that I know you're just such a big fan of. And so getting to see your guy in another one of your guys' movies all the time, that's got to be pretty exciting. What is your first and favorite Coogler movies?
My first one is Creed, and it was like at that point I'd never even seen a Rocky movie at all. Someone threw it on. I didn't even know it was connected to the Rocky movies when they threw it on, and so that was an interesting experience. And like again, as someone who didn't know the Rocky movies, I watched that, understood the entire message of that, and like kind of the legacy of the franchise just with that. So that really speaks to like Coogler's testament of the franchise, like, or understanding of the franchise. Like he knows like how to get you in the emotional beats. Like I had no ties to Rocky like that, but like the way he wrote Rocky and his relationship with Michael B. Jordan's Creed in that was so powerful, and it made me want to go back and, you know, start watching the Rocky films, and then go back. When I went back to Creed, it was like, wow, he really gets his franchise a lot. And so, and that's why it's my favorite. And if you watch that film, there are a lot of one takes where there's an entire boxing scene, one take. And it's insane how he pulls that off, because you see like maybe 4 or 5 rounds and there's just trading blows. You feel every hit. And then that's how I knew, like, okay, they saw this and we're like, yeah, let's get in for Black Panther. And that's why like those combat scenes and like the waterfall fight in Black Panther 1 is so good because of that close combat and like Coogler's eye for that kind of thing. And so
can I just say that scene makes me so uncomfortable? When T'Challa is hanging off the side of that fucking waterfall, we're supposed to be doing that like he's in control and he's confident and we're happy he's winning, and I'm just like sitting there like, if that was me, I'd be fucking terrified that I'd be falling off the edge of this waterfall. Like, that scene just like makes me so uncomfortable every time because it's like, I get that he's about to win and we're happy for him, but how's this dude in control? He's about to fall. My guy, get you some space.
No, seriously, like the water's rushing and you're like, wait a minute, he just holding M'Baku like that. It's like, okay, but yes, exactly. And like, and a lot of that scene too, it's like the cut, you feel every cut, and that's the same thing in how we did in Creed. Like you feel every punch, and you like, it's just like, it also revolutionizes like how the boxing was in the Rocky films, where like, Stallone's not covering his face at all, like he's just taking hits to the face. But in Creed, like you really feel like you're watching a boxing match. Yes, like he's like, I'm gonna take it, and then like hit. But like, with Creed, it was just so amazing, like how he does that, and I think, like that film, like that's the most watched like Coogler film I've seen, and that like that's why it's my favorite. Like I just can't get enough of it. Like every time I feel like I'm rewatching it or watching it for the first time. Like it just has such a powerful emotional thread. The music's great, action stellar. So yeah, first and favorite is Creed.
All right, let's start getting into Sinners itself, kind of just spoiler-free first thoughts. Ryan, do you think this is the type of film that is, I mean, we can almost even breeze past this one because I think this is going to be a hard yes for all of us, but is this must see in theaters? And then in addition to that, I know a lot of fans, like we just had our good friend Emma Doris was just on our premiere episode of the Daredevil Born Again podcast. And she was just having this discussion in a group chat we're both in of like, I'm not a horror fan. Horror scares me. I don't like horror. Can I still go see this in theaters? Is this a horror movie? Can non-horror fans enjoy it? And do you think this is must see in theaters?
Oh, 100% must see in theaters. I mean, I'm sure some people here have like seen like the video that's going around where Coogler just educates us on film strips and like the film, like 35 millimeters, IMAX, all that stuff. Like he knows the craft, and because he shot on film for this, like it's meant to be seen on the biggest screen you can, and not just because of the visuals, but also because of the sound. But like just being in that kind of theater, surround sonic theater experience is like really amplifies the movie so much. Like I can't, like when you think of like a theater experience, like Sinners is one of those films for sure. Like it's like a Top Gun Maverick, in my opinion, where it's like you have to see this in the theater to get that full experience and immerse yourself into the movie. In terms of horror, yeah, I'm not that like into horror where I would go to the theater. I usually wait at home where I'm more comfortable and safe to watch a horror film. But again, it's Coogler, I'm there. So I did it for him. And yes, there are some scares. I can't admit, like I watched it at 10 p.m. on opening night, and I was like jumping a little bit at some things. But there is so much going on with the story, with these characters, like the social commentary on it. Like I think it's more than just a horror film. And I know horror films always do have that social commentary, but like there's more to it than that in Sinners, where like yes, you are meant to be scared, but like there's also like very heartfelt moments, very emotional, gut punching moments in this film that like you kind of need to be immersed in it and experience it. And like there's a lot going on here, and yes, you can be scared, but it's fine. You can make it through this. It will not haunt you completely. There are some lessons I will take from this, like just in my day-to-day life, where I'm like, I'm a watch out who like ask permission to enter my house, like, stuff like that. I'm gonna be careful of that. But I think like you will get that adrenaline rush, but like the story keeps you going, and like I think don't let the horror aspect stop you from seeing this film.
I'm not a horror guy either, and I couldn't agree more with what you said. First point I really want to touch on is even more to me than the importance of seeing this on a big screen is the importance of seeing this in is surround sound, high quality of a sound system as possible, because it's not just the music, the soundtrack, the score. It's all the sound effects that go along with this film as well. Like, I really hope, I don't know the exact categories in the Oscars with mixing and sound engineering, but the various backing vocals, not in the sense of music, but in the sense of conversation or eeriness that go on throughout this, where a character is explaining or experiencing a traumatic event, and if they're explaining it, you can hear aspects of said traumatic event happening deep in the background. It's so important to have a really good sound system there. And I was originally going to kind of say, like, no, this is not a horror film, and I was going to say it's almost genreless, but that's the opposite of true. It's genre filled. It's the Beyonce of movies. This is a horror movie. This is a comedy. This is an action movie. This is a drama. This is a tragedy. This is a musical. This is, like, it has aspects of romance. Like, it checks literally every box that you could imagine. It's not a comedy, but there sure as hell some funny moments.
That's hilarious.
Like, exactly. Like, there's some really funny moments. Jam, what do you think? Is this something people can wait for streaming, wait for digital, or is it a must see in theaters? And would you say it can check boxes even for someone who doesn't like horror?
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you guys. It has to be seen in theaters. Like, when I remember Dennis in our Wakandan chat asked, he's like, "What makes you guys like want to see this movie?" And I was like, Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, Hailee, like the actors, the director, but then the concept to me. Like, I'm not a horror guy at all. I don't like anything horror. Like, the only thing I can really stand is slashers, and even then, it's like, it's got to be Halloween around that time for me to want to watch those type of movies. Like, the closest Halloween movies I'm going with is Halloween Town from Disney Channel. All right, like, I'm not a horror guy at all in any way, shape, or form. But I would still say this was a horror movie. I think the closest horror movie I like are the Collector movies. I like those movies.
Oh, yeah.
But like, this is still a horror movie to me. Like, it had, like, what he does. Oh, and I like Fear Streets on Netflix. Those were top tier during COVID. But with this movie, he takes a lot of those classic horror elements. Like, I don't want to get into some spoilers, but like, who's gonna die? You get that sense of feeling. Like, that's a classic horror take right there. He implements these little horror elements throughout the movie, and then that, the last part of the movie, or the last half of the movie, is that whole horror-esque trope. Throughout the movie, you get like jump scares here and there, like, and there was nothing, to Ryan's point, that I didn't feel fear throughout the movie, being scared. But I also will say, like, leaving the movie, I felt the feeling of fear. What I mean by that is, like, I left the movie. I got into my opening night was 7:00. I got out of the movie, it was like 9:30-ish, 9:45-ish, whatever. And I'm looking over my shoulder the whole night. I went solo too. I went opening nights, like, by myself. And I'm looking over my shoulder the whole way home, like, in the car. As I'm walking out of the theater, I'm looking at people that were in the theater with me. As I have to go to work the next morning, I have to be at work really early, so it's still dark out. And I'm looking as I'm walking to my car, like, yo, is there about to be something hovering over me? But not in a sense of I'm scared, because I'm not thinking about the movie being fearful. I'm thinking more so of the feeling of fear. Like, I'm more so thinking of, like, how this movie made me feel opposed to how it made me think. That was my experience with it. So I feel like even if you're not a horror person, yes, this is a movie that I guarantee you will still appreciate. Kind of like you said, it's all across the board. Yeah, it's to me, it's a horror movie, but it hits every box so well that you don't feel like you're watching a horror movie. And I put that in my review. Like, I didn't feel like I was watching a horror movie, and then something horror happened, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this is a horror movie, And lastly, I think that it needs to 100% be seen on the big screen. I haven't seen it on the biggest screen that I can. I went to see it in regular standard. I'm going today to go see it on the biggest screen I can find, which might be like an hour away. But after we get off this, that's what me and my lady are going to do. She didn't want to see it at first because she doesn't like scary movies, and she thought this was gonna be she also doesn't like period pieces that focus on race. She feels like that divides us a lot, like with racist issues, and we have that conversation all the time. I think those films are needed, right? Like we need those type of films, but that's not at all what this movie was. And so as I left the theater and I was talking about it all day yesterday, she's like, all right, let's go see it. And so that's what we're doing today, going to find it on the biggest screen. So to your point, find it on the biggest screen you can, because I think I'm going to enjoy my second watch even more with the sound effects, the music, the visuals. And it is a horror film, but you won't be scared, I promise.
Or you'll be scared, but there's enough uplifting and if not uplifting, but just like genuine fun to go along with it, that it pulls you out of that mind state. Dennis, what's your thoughts on the matter? Exactly
that. Like I hate horror, and that's why I was like asking the chat, like what's making y'all go see this movie? When they say, okay, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, the actors, the concept and all that stuff, I'm like, all right, cool, I'll go see it, because I just do not go see horror movies. I don't watch them. But for me, this wasn't a horror movie. I never really, there's some jump scares, but I never felt scared at all either. And then here's why you need to go see it in theaters. This is like a little bit of a different take, but like, I have those feelings going into the movie, but then you sit there and I'm in the theater with nothing but black folks, man. And it's like, they just enjoyed things differently, man. Like we just enjoy things. Like we were laughing the whole movie and just like cracking jokes, and like when things happen, you're like, "Oh hell!" Like you're one of those, "Oh hell no," or something like that in the movie. That's why you got to go see it with some black folks in the movie theater, man. It's just funny. It's just such a great experience. I think it enhanced the experience for me, and almost like the we have to go see what's the new one with Keke Palmer as well.
One of them days.
Yeah, one of them days. Went to see it, none but black folks in the theater, and it was just like hilarious. But
I regret not seeing that in theaters.
Yeah. But yeah.
To his point, that's funny because I went, like I told you guys, I went alone, and I met friends there. Like I met people in the theater, and we just the same thing he said, just joking and laughing and feeling emotions the whole movie. And I'm like, yo, it's good, bro. You made a really good point. You made a really good point.
Yeah, so that's my whole.
I can't remember whose tweet it was or where I saw it, but it kind of goes to exactly both of your points. And they were saying like the media 10 out of 10 times will under-project black movies at the box office. Like people don't really seem to realize how well the community will come out and show out for a good movie. And it just like, this is another one of those that I think like early projections were like, hey, it might do 30 million opening weekend, and it's just going to absolutely blow that out of the water kind of thing by the end of the weekend. And so as we were talking about, all trying to go see it a second time in the same opening weekend. And so I think that's absolutely going to be the case with Sinners. And like you guys said, the theater experience, top tier. Go see it in a movie theater on as big of a screen and as good of a sound system as you can. Dennis, I want to keep it with you for this one. Let's talk about some of the characters and standout performances. We got Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan as stacked. We got Hailee Steinfeld, just wild. Like maybe I would even say a little underutilized in terms of screen time in the third act specifically. But so sexy, so good. Wunmi Mosaku did an incredible job. And of course, can't start this off without talking about Miles Caton. Did I get the last name right? Did I pronounce that right? Miles Caton?
Thanks.
Caton. Debut acting performance. Sang his heart out, acted his ass off. What performances stood out to you and that you really want to, and what characters were your kind of favorite to follow?
Yeah, I loved both of the Michael B. Jordans, man. I thought he was so funny in this film to me. And he was just perfect. I thought it was one of his best that I've seen from him. And sometimes, when you do the double thing, like it can be sometimes distracting. It can take you out of it. Not once did it take me out of it. I'm like, this is two different people. And, sometimes that can be, whatever, but I never once thought about that in the movie. It was just seeing two different characters. So I thought he was great. Hailee, yes, I thought she was a little underutilized, but she's there for the sexiness. She's there to be, part of kind of like, she's like part of their family. So like, she's the white girl that's in. So, but there was one part before she turned and like before she went vampire or whatever. I wish that she could have like maybe put up more of a fight because they kind of hyped that up a little bit in the show. Like or in the
Show
movie.
us Kate Bishop. Show us
Yeah,
the fight.
exactly. I'm
know
like,
you've been training for it.
she was like, I could beat up every bitch in here. So like, you trained me to, and I was like, I wish we could have seen a little bit more of that. But yeah, she did a fantastic job. And then the who's the girl that Sammy like starts to like in I forget what her name is.
Perline.
Perline, yes. I thought she was great. I love that. I mean, we can get into it later, but I thought she was great. And then, yeah, Sammy was awesome. His debut, Caton, he was awesome. And I don't know if is that him actually singing, or is it just like, because if that's him actually singing, that's a beautiful voice. Yeah, I thought it was standout performances all around. Really loved the Asian lady too. Forget what her name. I'm terrible with names, but she was great as well. Just a lot of different pieces that Ryan Coogler threw into the pot, I thought. But yeah, I really liked it.
Before I throw it to Jam for his thoughts, I want to ask all of you this question specifically about the two Michael B. Jordan characters, Stack and Smoke. Was Jonathan Majors supposed to be in this movie?
Yes. Yeah, I saw that tweet.
I see that tweet too.
But I'm happy he wasn't though, because like I feel like Michael B. Jordan killed. He killed with being there, like just doing two people. It felt natural. I don't know. Jonathan Majors probably could have done it as well, but I liked that it was two Michael B. Jordans. I think that made for. Now that I've seen it, I can't imagine it not being that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Jam, what about you? Characters that stood out for you the most in Sinners?
It was Jordan, man. I made a comment in our chat. I was joking. I said we gotta start calling him just Michael Jordan because he's the GOAT at this point. Like, take away the B. Like, we gotta put his respect on his name. Now he's just Michael Jordan. Yeah, it was him. I do feel like that this cast was just so good and they worked so well together that I don't know if I had like a standout performance besides him and Sammy Preacher Boy, who played by Miles Caton, Caton. Those two, because they felt like they were the main characters. You know what I mean? Like they were the protagonists, or those three, if you. But I think the cast just did so well together. I mean, she's at this point like a horror queen. Like I don't watch much horror stuff, but what I have seen, like Lovecraft Country, like it knocks it out of the park every time.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought she was also really well, like did really well. And I think I seen a tweet that I do want to give my respect to Delroy Lindo. I thought he played a phenomenal job. Like everybody across the board did, but he just brought like that, I don't know, that pain a little bit, he just brought that pain that we needed for the culture. Like, I don't know, it felt like you felt everything that he was saying, every scene, even the scene like towards the end, like his last scene or his, you know what I mean? Like everything was felt. So I just think everybody across the board was well, but if I had to choose a person, it was for sure Michael B. Jordan and Miles. Miles? Is the first name Miles? I'm gonna just say Miles because I don't want to mispronounce his last name. But those two really knocked it out of the park for me, man.
Ryan, how about you? Standout performances, standout characters within the story. What'd you think?
Man, it is. You have Michael B. Jordan, you have Hailee Steinfeld, two of my faves. Like, and and going into the movie, I'm like, they are going to be my faves. But it is Miles for me. Like, as much as I love Michael B. Jordan, and he kills it. I really like you. If I didn't know Michael B. Jordan's history like that, I would believe he had an equally talented twin brother like that. And like, just the way they make that work is amazing. Like the
Very different.
Yeah, Smoke and Sour, yeah, very distinct characters. Like, and you can tell, like, they do the color thing, like, Smoke wears blue, Stack wears red, and like to kind of differentiate them. But like, just the way they talk, the way they interact with certain people, you can tell who that character is without having like, it being so glaringly obvious. And so he does amazing with that. But Miles, my God, like the man's singing voice alone, it's so powerful, and it ties into the whole story of like who his character is and stuff like that. Like, I mean, we're gonna get to that sequence in the middle, but my God, that like the voice is just booming. The power that he has, like, and he gives such like an amazing performance. Like, and for it to be his debut is insane. Like, he's standing toe to toe with like Michael B. Jordan, who's like who was him like 10 years ago when Fruitvale Station came out. Like, it's like this is kind of where Michael B. was, and now he gets to kind of usher in this new generation with Miles. It's like, okay, like that's really, really cool to see. Like, that Coogler gets to bring these actors out into the forefront and like make them breakout stars. So like I really do have to give it to Miles, and like, I really hope after this weekend this man gets like so many offers, because he deserves it. Like, whether it's a musical, whether it's a drama, something, like he deserves
Make him
all
cloak in the MCU.
Oh, I like that. Wait a minute. Okay. That would be interesting. I would like to see that, actually. Yeah. But
he's just so talented, to your point, though. Like the singing voice.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. It's, again, I don't know where Coogler finds these people, because like this man just pulled him out of nowhere, and like he's gonna be a star. And yeah, so I will give it to him. Like, and yeah, to point earlier, like Delroy is so good. Like, again, he's not in it as much either, but with what he's given, he gives like such an emotional performance. It goes to TJ's point much earlier, where like as he's telling the story in the car, you hear like the events of that. Yeah, and it's like, and my thing is like, show don't tell. But in that moment, I didn't need to see a flashback. I think the way they did it like that really amplified, like, no, this is the horror of like what was happening at. Yes, exactly. And so he just does a really good job with that. And he's funny. He's so hilarious. Funny. Like
the whole cast.
that whole scene where they're like eating the garlic clover.
Oh my God.
That's the comedy point. Like, that's such a funny scene. And that's where like Perlene is honestly really funny too. Mm-hmm. I just love, like, there are no misses in this cast at all. Like, there is no one I found annoying. There's no one I felt lackluster. Even Jack O'Connell's like as a vampire, he gives us such a charming performance where you're like, he could be the hero of his own story. Mm-hmm. And like, he honestly means well. It's not like a simple like, oh, of course the white people are vampires in this Black community. It's more like what he offers them, like, to this community, and like how he draws people in is a little enticing, to be honest. Like, where the world could not be more, or the country could not be more divided, he offers like a sense of community, a sense of like being at peace, being with the people you love. And it's like, we are all equal. And it's like, shit, man, like, maybe I will, like, maybe if it's Hailee Steinfeld, I'll get bitten. But like, there's like that kind of sense of like, I kind of get what you're giving me. And like, and so I think that it's a good thing that this is a period piece, because it really works with this era and, the lore of vampires and stuff like that. So again, no misses across with the cast at all. Like, Coogler really assembled a good team of actors here.
Couldn't agree more. And I don't even know. I want to stay on script of the rundown I built, but you just had so many great points that I want to build upon and talk about, but we'll get there when we get there. I know I'm going to keep throwing it to Dennis first, because I know you do got to have a early out here, so you can.
It's all good. Yeah. I can stay a little bit.
Get as many thoughts in as possible. And so I want to talk about the music aspect and its role in the film and how big of a part of the story it was, how incredible Miles' singing was as Sammy, Ludwig Göransson's score. Jam and Ryan, I know you've been listening to the score and the soundtrack for this nonstop. Dennis, if you have as well, I want to know your favorite song. And one of the most interesting parts about this movie that I thought was how they talk about throughout these different cultures, there's these different people who have such an affinity and talent for music that they
Reach.
bring spirits, they bring demons their way. And I actually think that's such a cool representation as well of the music industry as a whole when somebody has a ton of talent and a ton of ability.
Everybody wants them.
What are vampires? They're bloodsuckers. Leeches. People leech towards these people with talent, trying to get a piece of them, right? And I kind of feel like that theme is weaved into music's role in this movie. What'd you think?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, the music was definitely I went into this movie not knowing anything about it really, because I didn't really pay attention to like to most of the trailers. I didn't like really pay attention. So I really went off of like, I knew Michael B. Jordan was in it, Ryan Coogler was the director, Hailee Steinfeld, black people, vampire. Like that's what I knew. And then like the whole music aspect, like them setting up the juke joint like throughout like half the the beginning of the movie. And I'm like, okay, this is what it's coming to. Like this, I see how this is about to go down, and just like people having a good time and just like living life in this one place, and with a couple other little cultures mixed in too, and just music bringing everybody together can be like the overall theme. But yeah, Sammy's voice again, just it's crazy good. It's crazy good. I'm surprised Hailee didn't sing, because I know she sings a little bit. So like I'm surprised she didn't really get any parts of that. But yeah, Perline, she sings. She's going crazy too after she gets a little, high from, she she gets hers. She gets hers, and she starts feeling good and she starts singing. It was great, man. But yeah, the music was incredible. I haven't listened to the soundtrack yet, so that's on the agenda for today and tomorrow. Can't wait to get into it. So I'll pass it to you guys.
There's so many moments and lines in this movie with you're so beautiful. I just want to taste you. You've robbed banks, you've stole liquor, you've stole gold. You can't take this pussy for a night. My God, Hailee!
Damn, girl.
The first scene when she was like when she she says she's like, oh, you gonna put stick your tongue in this cooch and fuck me gooders. I was like, this is not Hailee Steinfeld. Hold on, this ain't Disney, shawty. Like,
this is not her. What have they done?
Jam, talk to me about the music and its role in this movie, because I know you've been heavily listening to the soundtrack.
Man, you first and foremost, I gotta commend you, bro. You made a great point that I didn't even think about. Like in real life, we have pop stars that people just gravitate to, and or not just pop stars, but I say that for all across the board in music genres, but idols or whatever, music artists that people just gravitate to. And that's a great point. I didn't even think about that and how that plays a role in a theme in this movie. What I always thought about was I loved how they talked about, like, this was my main takeaway from this movie, and I don't want to spoil it for Shorty, but something that she takes into consideration so much is like our ancestors, like, and spirits, and being able to conjure spirits, right? And I love that they did that across the board for race or cultures. Like they talked about like that vampire was Irish, right? And I think the music being able to being one of the ways that can conjure spirits tied the film so well together. Favorite song, I'm stuck between Traveling and I Lied to You. those two. Traveling is so short, but I love anything short and concise, like comic books do miniseries or like a good 6-episode TV show, 8 episodes. Like I love that. So anything short and concise is really good for me. So hearing Traveling in the car and Michael B. Jordan looks over, he's like, like I love that so much. But I also loved I Lied to You just off of the strength. I mean, it's quite frankly, one of the best scenes I've ever seen on a film, and the way that it was portrayed. And then I just listening to the soundtrack, hearing the song, it's such a good song, especially when the rift comes, like the change comes. I'm like, man, I know, like, again, me and Ryan have been listening to it, but it's so many good songs. The soundtrack starts with this, like their rendition of This Little Light of Mine. It's just so many good songs, but those two I'm torn between. I'm trying to figure out. Probably after the second rewatch, I'll find out. Overall, the music, I think, just does a lot, like to Dennis's point, them coming together. The focus of the movie feels like it is one of the themes and concepts is music. It's how music can bring us together. It's how music can make us feel. It's how music can transcend the past, present, and future. Like, I think all of that worked so well. And so, yeah, the music is on top of the soundtrack. Ludwig he might be one of the best composers I've ever seen in my life, man. Like, he's got to be up there all time. So,
even on the other side, sorry to cut in real quick. Even on the other side with Jack O'Connell's character in The Vampire, like even their music, I liked how Ryan Coogler let that breathe too. Like the moment before Hailee's turning, like when it's just the three of them and they're playing their little tunes and stuff. Like he let that breathe before like any action happened. And I really like that. And then plus when they started converting a lot of people when they were doing the circle and all that stuff, he would really like let that music shine as well, because that was also part of that history. Piece. So I really like that.
Artistically, I agree with you. I will say though, if I'm sitting in that juke joint and I'm listening to all this incredible music, and these fuckers come around with their folk music and try and get me to let them in, like, no, absolutely not. Like, you're gonna have to come. Yes. You're gonna have to come to me with something a little bit better than what you're bringing if you actually want to be allowed in here.
Yo, that's funny.
I did really like how they, like you said though, that they made him Irish. He was from a culture where when he was human, had experienced a religious war and was kicked out of his country, and although it was totally different, understood some kind of oppression, so he could use that to try and relate to them. I thought that was a really nice addition to the story. Ryan, what did you think of the role music played? Do you have any favorite songs that stood out to you? Thoughts on the score, etc.?
Oh man, I mean, Ludwig he's one of my favorite composers of all time. Like, his Creed score is my absolute favorite. You know, he's Oscar nominated, Oscar winning twice now for Black Panther and for Oppenheimer a while back. And I mean, it's so early to say like he could get it for Sinners, but like I want to kind of, he at least deserves a nomination, and I don't doubt that he will get that. Like the way he really makes the score its own character in this film, and it's so important to the story. And it made, like, I remember as I was following all the news around this movie, he was signed on not just as composer, but executive producer of the film. And now I understand why, because music is so heavily tied to this. And like, I'm glad he had a big say. Like, I know him and Coogler, just like Michael B. Jordan, have worked on everything together. But like, again, they have this kind of the same understanding of like the power of music and how generational it is. And like, it's also interesting because music was used as a way to like pass on stories. And so there is like this story also being passed on too, with, you know, with like the power of music and stuff like that. And so it's really cool how music tied into this. I wasn't also expecting like music to be this kind of element at all. I really just thought it was gonna be a vampire movie, a period piece, like, you know, stuff like that. But then once the music started going, I was like, oh, there's a lot of songs in this, and it's not like the typical musical where like they break out into song. These are like intertwined into the story. It's part of it. And to Dennis's point, it's so good to see this sense of community with the music, whether it is with the regular people or the vampires. Like music brings people together. You don't need lyrics to enjoy music. Like it is such a universal language where you just hear the beat, anyone around the world can like dance along to it or just feel the emotions that come with the song. And that's really carried in this. And if Coogler does want to continue branching out to different genres, like a full-on musical would be very interesting to see him tackle, because like again he gets it, and Ludwig and him work together on that. Like that would be amazing to see. Yeah, and to Dennis's point, like earlier, I'm surprised Hailee didn't sing. I knew she had a track in this. I thought this would be the moment for her to sing, but I get it. There's a lot going on, but it would have been great to see her sing. I was honestly surprised of who was singing. Like Jack O'Connell, I didn't know he could sing. Perline, I didn't know the actress could sing. Like I just knew her from the Batman, and I was like, oh damn, she can sing. Okay, fun. So yeah, no, it was really cool to like see the musical aspect of this, and I know we're gonna get to it, but like similar to like, well, I've watched all these trailers, but I didn't realize like there are shots from the trailer that tease the big musical sequence, and I never thought anything of it. I just thought it was like a visual thing, it is, but like I never paid much attention to like what the meaning behind that musical sequence was, even though they teased in the trailers. And we're gonna get to it. Like that sequence is like truly one of the best cinematic experiences ever.
I love what you said, that it's its own character. Not to cut anybody off, but I love that what you said about, I didn't think about it that way, and that makes it so fresh for me. Like the music was its own character in the movie. That's a beautiful way of saying that.
Yeah.
And the blues specifically has such a gravitating way to become its own character because of, like you said, it's storytelling. All music is storytelling, but the blues feels like a very specific type, rooted in pain, rooted in reality. It's not embellishment. It's here are my feelings right now to some music. And it did such a great job of weaving its way throughout the story. Dennis, what did you think of the story structure? Because I thought it was cool that they had these three very, very distinct acts, whereas Act 1, it's daytime. They're assembling a squad. They're setting the table. We're getting introduced to all these characters, and it's pretty slow moving, but it's also really important character work that make the later acts so important. 2 is just a friggin' party, right? Act 2 is just strictly fun and sexiness and music and party. And then in Act 3, we kind of get the whole surviving the night horror aspect of this all. We get the fun garlic scene that Ryan talked about earlier. We have the real classic vampire storytelling. They can't enter unless you invite them in. How do you kill them? Stake to the heart, silver, garlic, sunlight. Like just very, very classic, no adjustments to it. We get action, we get blood, we get gore, and then we get a really epic conclusion to the story. What did you think of the way this was structured? And of the 3 acts, what really stood out the most to you?
I think the structuring was very intentional, and just the with the first part, setting up everything, seeing how it's coming together, especially somebody like I said, not knowing what it's about going into it. They with them buying the property, coming back to see all these people that know who they are, the hilarious scene when he's going into the store and he shoots both of the people trying to rob the truck, and he's like, I can't not have him be shot. That he almost robbed one of us. Like that can't happen.
Did you have to pick the dude's kneecap? Like
the kneecap.
That's crazy.
A little less debilitating.
Yo, so funny. But you're watching them come together for this juke joint party, and you're getting some of the background from all these characters, even when they meet like Delroy Lindo's character, and then Cornbread too. Forget about Cornbread. Just like meeting all these people, trying to kind of get the band together and all that, meeting their loved ones, and then having the party, having that fantastic scene, and just like things that they even like set up in the beginning, the first stage, like even with the very sexual part with Perline's part, like him being told that on the car ride, like how to do it, and then he's he's like, I want to try something new, things like that, like just the payoffs, really really good during the party, and then like you said, like the surviving the night part happens, the vampire elements, a lot more action I thought it was gonna be. But the vampire elements, like again, weren't scary either. And then one thing I keep forgetting, like, is the very beginning. Actually, sorry to jump around, but the very beginning is like the Choctaw people, like Echoes people.
I really was hoping they were going to come back and help.
I thought so too. That was one thing I was like, where they just kind of like left them hanging, because they seemed like they were experienced in dealing with vampires almost. So I was wondering like what that was all about. Maybe he was like trying to invade their culture and then now invade this culture. I had no idea what that was about. Would like to know more of that. But all three like acts incredible. I mean, again, the scene that we keep dancing around the bush about is I mean, again, I think it's just one of those scenes that'll live on in Hollywood forever. Just incredible. That's all I got.
Ryan, how about you? What stood out among these three acts? What did you think of the structure? I, to be honest, just felt like one of the things I always compliment the most about Avengers Infinity War, which is way off topic, but is how the second I feel even remotely complacent or bored with a group or a scene or a part of the story, I'm brought into a next part that just like completely reinvigorates me and makes me happy to be there. This was a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. Not once did I feel like it had an extended runtime. I felt like it could have had more. And I felt like these three acts being so different really made it so that you don't feel those runtime and you're just having fun throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, I remember going to the first act and I was like, okay, we're getting the band together. But it's also nice because like you're getting to introduce like the movie's introducing these characters to you in a natural way because the brothers have been gone for so long and you're getting the context naturally. It's not like, it doesn't feel like exposition. Like the way they talk to one another, like you get the vibe, like, with the dynamic between Stack and Mary, or the dynamic between Smoke and Annie. Like they both have different traumas in their relationships that cause the separation to happen, but you get it so naturally in these conversations. Like, with Smoke's kid, like, having like such a child die that young. It's like you see like why they also wanted to leave. And I love the way Coogler writes it, where it doesn't feel like we have to like kind of talk about it. It's kind of like you can assume these things. Yeah, it's all implied, and I love it. Like, and that's what makes the runtime like goes much more smoothly. It doesn't feel like we're getting an exposition dump. And so I love that like that first act was establishing these characters because you know what's gonna happen, or like you have a feeling of what's gonna happen in the second act with the actual vampire stuff going on. Like now you're like, okay, well, I care for all of these characters, and like Coogler writes them all so well. So it's like I'm scared for any of them, especially like even like comedic relief like Cornbread. Like you're just like, oh man, he's such a good guy.
Yeah.
He got a baby on the way.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Like shit. And
that was the first thing I thought about. That was the first thing I thought when he got. Yeah, that was the first thing.
Man, see, and yeah, that's the thing too. Because like even with I think it's that her name is Grace and Bo. Like their whole thing is like where like Jack O'Connell's character is like, we're just gonna go get Lisa then. Like, how about you come out now? It's like shit. Like, and you know what? We're gonna keep tying it to Avengers Infinity War because I hated Star-Lord's decision with like the whole Thanos thing where like, oh, we're winning, but then he mentions Gamora, like now I gotta like, get my revenge on Thanos and like forget about the plan. But with her, I feel like it's so like, you know what? Yeah, let them in. Fucking come and we'll kill all of you. And so I love that moment for her. Like I didn't feel annoyed with her decision to do that because like, you know what? We're prepared. We got the garlic, we got the steaks. Like, you know what? Let's fucking go. And then again, it's such an epic sequence that I wasn't really expecting, but when in IMAX that aspect ratio changes and you get the full like sequence, it's like, damn, this is where Coogler's experience as an action director like really shines because like that scene is just so there's a lot going on, but like you feel every hit, like, and it's stressful because you're like, damn, like any one of them could just get bitten. Yeah, and I mean it also gives like the fucking emotional gut punch again, which also ties into Infinity War. There's a lot of Infinity War connections here because in Infinity War, Gamora says to Star-Lord, like, hey, like if Thanos gets me, like you gotta kill me. And it's similar to this, Annie says, like, before all the vampire stuff goes down, if I am gonna turn, you have to kill me. I need to like let my spirit be free, let it be with our child. And like he does it. He actually does it. Again, Star-Lord, piece of shit, but it's all made up here. But like, and he does it, and
Star-Lord
it's so
tried.
Yeah.
Got shot. He shot her, but the bubbles.
Yeah, that's true. Fair. I'll give him that. But like in this one, like Smoke does it, and it's like, and it causes this whole thing with like, it kind of awakens Mary a little bit, Hailee Steinfeld's character, where she's like, oh my god, Annie's like, you killed Annie, and it's like there's kind of this moment of like, no, yeah, like we are still people too, and we still care for each other. And like for in Mary's case, like it's like she was going to be one of us, she was going to be on our side, but then you took that away from us now, and so you see pain on both sides. And so again, Coogler, even in the action, he can still deliver an emotional scene like that. It's amazing to see him do that. So I mean, yeah, I love the Survive the Night sequence. That was such a like, that was like, okay, like this is where we're like, this is what the marketing's all about, is this moment. But I did enjoy how the first act really set up these characters with such emotional investment, because it made the second act much more stressful with all the vampire stuff going on.
Jam, how about you? What did you think of the storytelling style, and what were your biggest standouts throughout?
I really love the pacing, man. Like these guys said, the pacing just was done really well. My favorite part of the movie, believe it or not, is definitely the first act. I think I've seen something on Twitter from somebody that put it into perspective for me really well. Like, it's a slow burn. The first act is a slow burn, but it's intentional, and I like that because he's throwing us into this 1930s like aesthetic, like into this time where we have to get familiarized with all these characters, but also the world that they're living in. And I love that we stayed there for so long, like for a long time, because it's like, I feel like now I'm a part of this experience, or I'm a part of this journey with them, right? I think the getting into the second act and the third act, like we've all talked about already, it's phenomenal. Like that's the slow burn into the build up, and then like the end payoff, it just works. But that first act for me, I remember thinking about like, this movie can't get any better than where we're at right now. And every time it kept getting better. I felt like there was no scene wasted, no time wasted. I think, and Dennis will tell you this, I'm a very big nitpick person. I always go into the movie like, what can I critique? Because if I don't do that, then everything, I'm like a biased person. Everything is great to me, right? So I go in there like, what am I looking for that? And there was one time that something almost took me out of the movie. And it's because me and Dennis also talk about this. I'm not a big fan of really intimate like sex or like makeout scenes and things like that. And there's a scene that starts, and then like 10 seconds go by and we're in the next scene. And I'm like, oh, he got me, because he knows how to make me care about that moment just enough, but not grab me out of it. So I think that first act, to like Ryan said it, Ryan's point is like, we get introduced to these characters and bringing them all together. But then we see that payoff towards the end. Like everybody's having a good time, or second act, everybody's having a good time. And then you care. Like, I don't want to see none of these guys die. I don't want to see nobody die. So for me, it's that first act. I think he structured it, like Dennis said, very intentional for us to kind of go through this like first cruise journey. Then we get to that really high of the roller coaster where we're at the peak, which is kind of like that scene we're all talking about. And then we just go all the way to end, like that whole rest of the movie from like that first half to that half point, which is the peak, to the rest of the movie is like the ride down of the roller coaster. Like you're on that like adrenaline rush almost. So I don't know. I think my favorite part, besides the scene that I think is gonna last lifetimes, I think my favorite part was actually when we're in the town and Smoke is talking to Bo, and then he tells Lisa, "Hey, go get your mom," and it follows Lisa through the town, get Grace, and then we follow Grace back. Like seeing the town, seeing the way he shot that, like it really immersed me into that world. And I'm thinking as I'm watching the movie, it's like, well, at that point maybe like 20 minutes in or something like that, maybe. I'm like thinking when texting Dennis in the chat, I'm like, how can I summarize? Because I have an issue with going on tangents. So I'm like, how can I summarize this movie in one word? I was like, and this movie's gangster, bro. Like it's just gangster. Like it's just so gangster. And that's how I felt. So first act is my favorite.
I'm with you for two reasons, actually. One, because my two favorite tropes, two of my favorite tropes are the assembling of a squad. Yeah. I love getting the team together. And another one is when somebody is disrespected and the person doing the disrespecting doesn't know who they're disrespecting, right?
Okay,
like,
okay.
You don't know that at any moment I could end you. I'm way more powerful than you could ever imagine. And I'm just going to let you finish because I know that you're not a threat to me. And we get that with that old fat white guy in Michael B. Jordan, right? Yeah. Like we get that moment of like, I'm the white dude in 1930. I'm superior. But you know, at any moment, if Michael B. Jordan didn't want this dude around, he wouldn't be around. And like I love those moments so much. So I think the first act actually might have been my favorite as well. If I were to nitpick something from this movie, and I have seen a couple other people critique it as well, it's that the vampires were a little inconsistent and weird with some of their abilities. Like I believe Damon, when I was talking to Damon about this movie, he said like they get a little Twilighty at some point where they all of a sudden just fly through the air and have super speed, but then at other points they're just going toe to toe with a human and it's an equal battle. It did feel just a little inconsistent with that part, but again, that's such a minor little nitpick and something that I personally don't really care about. Ryan, if the act one wasn't my favorite, the final scene with Michael B. Jordan and his trunk, his trunk that he finally opens up and he just goes to town on the KKK. That probably was my favorite, leading straight into like the ancestral plane moment that was so damn good.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your thoughts on the conclusion and then as well as the mid-credit scene up through the 90s.
Yeah, so when the vampires get defeated, I was like, okay, like I think we're kind of done here. There's still a lot. Like I was like, I know that iconic shot from the trailer where like Michael B. Jordan's just firing his drum gun on these people. I'm like, who the hell is he fighting? And it's just racist. I love it, and I love that he's sniping them. He already like laid the gun in the ground to grab it. It's like this is so John Wick, and I'm like, this is what we need. More Michael B. Jordan doing shit like this because like he's so good at it.
He's a good action guy.
He's a good action dude.
Yeah, he is. And like, underrated movies like Without Remorse, where he is like in the like Rainbow Six style kind of franchise they're trying to make. Like he is that, and like it just didn't get the push it deserved. But I think we need to see Michael B. Jordan take on more roles like that because yeah, he's really great in that. As for the stuff with Miles, I was like, when he's driving off, I'm like, okay, like this is it for this movie. But then the mid credits come, and you see Buddy Guy, like just wailing on the guitar, and you're like, damn, like Coogler got Buddy Guy in this movie, and we're flash forward to like the '90s, and it's Sammy all grown up now, and like he got to live his life, he got to be the musician he always wanted to be, and like during that credits, it kind of takes me back to like the Wakanda Forever, where those credits just play over the fire, to Rihanna's Lift Me Up, where while Sammy's playing the guitar, like you see these flashes. I think it's that scene where you see the flashes of them preparing for the night of the juke joint. Like we never saw that in the order it was supposed to be in, but you see everyone like gathering together, putting the sign up, getting the drinks together. It's like, damn, man, this is so sad. Like, and it's kind of that thing of like you kind of outlive your friends. You being like the last of the people that you knew growing up, the people who knew you, they're all gone, or like at least you thought so. But like you kind of like lose a bit of yourself because like you lose that kind of sense of self a little bit. But he reflects on that as he's still playing his music. Again, it's generational. This music still takes you. It can take you back to the past. It can project you and make you think about the future a little bit. And I love how that was edited because it's like while Sammy's driving off, he then like it has him in the future like playing the guitar and everything. It's like I love how again it's that generational thing. And the mid credits, like I don't even want to say it's a mid credits because it feels very part of the story. Like I think that's such a good ending to the story. I was scared a little bit. I'm like, oh my god, there's still more to this movie. Like I didn't think like teasing something. Like I know this is the original idea. Like, are we trying to tease a sequel or whatever? But it's fine. Like you're like, okay, Smoke made Stack promise. Like you don't go after Sammy. Like he's safe and everything. And like they let him live his life. And I feel like the only reason they come to him is like, you are at the end of your life. Do you want to keep living? Like you love music. You become this star. Like we can give you that. We can let you continue to play music. And he's like, no. Like I've lived my life. I lived a long life. I lived a full life. And like I'm ready. And they're not threatened anymore. And like I like that. I like that they're living their life. Stack and Mary can still be a happy couple without like kind of being a threat to anyone really. And I like. It was a fun scene. It was a tense scene for a brief moment, but yeah. I like that it is essentially a happy ending for both sides because again, the vampires weren't outright villains. They weren't like malicious with what they were doing. They were trying to build this sense of community. They're trying to like give the
malicious to humans, but for their nature, they're just doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Bear, right? Like if there's a bear attack, the bear's not evil. You're just in the bear's way.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I love the mid credits and there's also a post credits where also a really great scene with just showcasing Miles' singing voice. Like I love it. I love that like Coogler got to do that. Because yeah, let fucking Miles shine. He's great. He's a great singer.
I thought the end sequence was a super important, not just for fun and to end, even though it was Michael B. Jordan just murdering a bunch of dudes. I say this as it's kind of funny to say it this way, but to end the movie on a positive note. Because we wanted those dudes murdered, right? Like we wanted them gone. And so I think it was important to end the movie on a positive note, but also, and I apologize because I feel a little bit like Zemo in Falcon and the Winter Soldier talking about Marvin Gaye, but I thought it was kind of important thematically to go with what a lot of this story was. And, a black man in the 1930s, all of the obviously this is a very fantastical story and vampires, nobody's actually dealing with vampires, but after, you know, all the leeches, because you got one man with money and you got one man with a ton of musical talent. So after they have to deal with all of the leeches and all these vampires going after them, they still have to deal with the KKK and, you know, society being stacked against them because they are majority in power. They still have to deal with all of these different obstacles before he finally gets out. Before Sammy finally gets out and is free, what was the cost? What did he lose along the way? It was difficult. It was traumatic. It was difficult because of all these tears he had to undergo. And I thought it was important to kind of include that final scene at the end to get there. I thought the mid-credit scene was really cool that I thought I recognized one of the guitar players in it. And I did. It was because I just looked up the guy's name. His name is Christone Kingfish Ingram. And he's in Luke Cage season 2. He's one of the people performing at why am I forgetting? Harlem's Paradise. He's one of the people performing there in season 2. And he was the guitar player, one of the guitar players with older Sammy in the 1990s there. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that's him. And then I looked it up and it was. I was like, hell yeah. I thought that was really cool. Dennis, what did you think of the mid-credit scene, the epic final showdown with Michael B. Jordan and all the racists? And then if we do have to get out of here, feel free to, you know, let people know where they can find you on socials, pod, etc.
Gotcha. Yeah, the ending felt very earned. I felt like in creative way that they, you know, like, cause I kind of missed it. I had to ask my girl, like, how did he know that all that was going to happen? Cause it was like through the memories of the vampires, like they had a whole sequence in the middle of all the chaos of like, basically they're able to see the memories. And that's how he knew from like the daughter and, you know, like how that was about to go down. So like, that was pretty cool the way that happened. But yeah, I like that they, you know, Michael B. Jordan doing his thing again. He's good in the action. Very, you know, like that they just, you know, they had to make him like a soldier, so he's got all these tactics and stuff like that, and that really shined in that moment, which is pretty cool. The mid-credit scene, also, because I felt a little like I didn't know what to think going into that mid-credit scene, like of the ending, but in the mid-credit scene really tied together everything. And you know, throughout this whole movie, Sammy is the guy, at least the way I thought about it, he's the guy from the hood that had potential, you know, like, and everybody protects that person because he's like that. He's the guy that's going to make it out. And see, like, even with Smoke and Stack, like the way they, you know, when we talk about him in the car, or Stack in the car, when he first hears the voice and he makes the woo, you know, like that's something like so many black people would do in that moment of like, oh, he got talent, you know, like, so yeah, just seeing that at the end and having the, like, again, I felt uneasy too, like Ryan said, when they first walk in the mid-credit scene, I'm like, hell no. But you know, I think them coming back, and I love that they also have been listening to all of his albums and stuff. Like, music is still like in their blood, and you know, it's still bringing them together once again, and giving him the opportunity to have that life of the vampire life. But him refusing and being like, you know what, even with all that chaos and all that loss, like that was like the best night of my life. It was like one of the best nights ever. And you know, and it was, again, we go back to it just being music, bringing everybody together. Yeah, I thought it was very well done. And then at the very, very end, the end credit, yeah, just letting him, like, I didn't know if there was like extra meaning behind that, or he just like let him get his shine on. But I enjoyed that too. So yeah. And then I guess I'll touch on the scene, the scene in the middle of the party that we think is just incredible. I thought just the way it was unfolding with, like, I think it was the first person with like the guy in the purple with I think it was like a saxophone or whatnot. And like I'm not sure what's going on. I'm like, he doesn't look like he's supposed to be here at this party. And then like, it starts panning and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is what they're doing. And you start hearing the extra beats and like the modern beats kick in, and then you get some of the old stuff, and then you get some of the Afro beats in there, and it's like, oh man, they just introduce, or they just like intertwine so many cultures, but in like generational in a generational way as well. And I like to point out at the end, because I've been very into the Memphis juking scene. I don't know if you know what that is, but like it's a dance scene out of Memphis basically that's gotten really popular. And at the very end of that scene, they have one of the guys that I've kind of been following a lot too. They had him in the movie doing like some of the Memphis juking, like dancing at the end there. It was very subtle and very quick, but it was like really good. So I thought it was him, and then I looked at his Instagram profile, and he's sitting there with Michael Jordan in his latest photo, and I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. That's crazy that they went that deep into the culture. It was just like so cool. But yeah, I'll leave it to you guys.
Jam, what did you think of the mid-credit scene, the final action showdown sequence, and then feel free to give us our first official rating out of 10 of what this movie is.
So that final scene, to me, honestly, the best part was actually, for me, was when before the guys pulled up and Smoke wanted a cigarette, but he couldn't make he didn't know how to make the cigarette himself, because Stack always did it for him. So you see him kind of like when Stack first died, you see him like shook up with his hands. He's holding the gun. He's just shook up like that trauma. And after everything with the vampires is over, he sits there and he needs a cigarette and he wants to roll it, but he can't because of the trauma. Like he's just shaking. I thought that right there is when I was like, this is one of Michael B. Jordan's. Like throughout the movie, excuse me, I was like, yeah, Michael B. Jordan is hitting on this. It's really phenomenal. Two actors, But when I seen that, I was like, just him showcasing that through Smoke. Because Stack felt like that character I would get that from, but it was Smoke. And I'm like, man, like, not only is the writing great, but this performance from Michael B. Jordan is insane. And so I really love that. And then it transitioned to the guys, pulling up. And then the reason why I love that scene so much, or that moment in that final scene, or that final moment, like final act or whatever, is because then after he kills everybody, the guy that the main, like the grand leader of the KKK, he's like, you got a cigarette? And he gives him one, and he starts smoking it, and he sits there and he takes it all in, and then he sees, Annie and his baby. And I thought the way like that transitioned from, it's like little payoffs like that. The cigarette, needing the cigarette, the trauma. Now I have to deal with all of these guys, and now I could sit back and relax, enjoy my cigarette, kill you, and be with my family. I thought that was just beautifully done. The mid-credit scene, like to Ryan's point, I think Dennis might have mentioned this too, but it felt like the ending of the actual ending of the movie. I felt like I needed that, because as we're leading at the end of the movie, when I think, what was it, Sammy was driving off, was like the end or something like that.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, I get that. Like I get that. I could see that being the end of the movie, right? Great story. He's going off. He didn't want to be at home. He didn't want to be a preacher boy anymore. He's going off to do his own thing, live his own life, just like he told Smoke he would. But that bringing it back full circle moment what was it? I was trying to do the math. I was like 30 years later. I was like, if they're in the 1930s, 60 years later, I'm in the theater trying to like, how old was Sammy B? Because he had to at least be 18 or something, right? They're not gonna show no child doing what he was doing, right? Like, so I was like, he gotta at least be 18. I'm like,
I was just gonna say, guy went down on a woman one time, and now he doesn't want to be a preacher boy anymore.
I'm like, yo, how old is this guy? But that's neither here nor there. I love that it came to that point. He named the place Perlene's, you know what I'm saying? All of that.
Yeah.
But what I love about Michael B. Jordan and Hailee Steinfeld's characters, Stack and Mary, coming to visit Sammy, was that they actually offered him to turn.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, well, I'm here now, you're gonna turn. I'll let you live your life. You about to die, now I'm about to turn you. It wasn't like they still were malicious, because, and to y'all point earlier, they're not malicious, they're not evil, they're bears, right? Like it's nature, it's instinct. But when they first turned, it was kind of evil. I mean, we get that scene from Mary, we're gonna kill every last one of you. Like, it felt very much like they didn't care about other people's feelings on turning or not. Like, I'm a vampire, I'm drooling at them, like, this is what's gonna happen. But later on, it's like after they've lived as a vampire for so long, they're like, and still listening to Sammy's music, they're like, you know what? I get it. If people don't want to turn, we're not going to force it. I won't make them turn, especially if it's somebody I loved in life. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was a really good moment to talk, like to focus in on, because it felt like another part of me touching with my ancestor, or like not me specifically, but like a character touching with their ancestors. Like, you're getting to speak to Michael B. Jordan. You're getting to speak to Stack. Stack is dead, but he's alive, and he's talking to you in a sense like, hey, I'm here. Do you want this? Opposed to imposing it on you, which a lot of adults do to children, especially in the Black community, especially in our community. That happens. We get imposed on with rules, or how we're raised, how we're taught, what we're supposed to do in this situation. And it's like they allowed Sammy to essentially make his own choices, as well as keeping his promise to Smoke. You know what I mean? Like, which I couldn't believe would happen. Like, because he's trying to turn his own brother. So he's like, look, I won't kill you, but you gotta make sure Sammy is good. And I thought that point there was also a really good moment, because he killed Annie. He couldn't kill his brother. The woman that had his child, you know what I'm saying? The woman that he has been gone for, at least they said 7 years, right? Because they were gone from them for 7 years or something like that, at least.
Yeah.
So he still loved her through all of that time. So he had to kill her,
I
but
think
he
that
couldn't
even
kill his
speaks
brother.
to how intense his love for her was, right? Because he could have never done that for himself. He did that for her because she asked him. He didn't want to.
Yep.
That took everything against his will to still be able to do it.
And I love, see, you picked it up, because that's my point, is that he had to do that for her. He loved her so much, but he was selfish with his brother. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't get himself to kill his brother. He's like, I'll let you live, but make sure Sammy's good. So I thought that end credit scene, to end my tangent, that end credit scene mid credit scene, it solidified everything in the story, because it was about choice, it was about ancestry, it was about love, as well as much as the movie was about music. And so it really hit on an emotional level for me. And then that end credit scene, I know, Dennis, you said like you don't know if it was supposed to mean more. I was actually looking up what it was like, what it's supposed to mean. And I think it was just supposed to pay respects to the fact that he was a preacher boy. You know what I'm saying? He was a preacher boy, but in the godly way, he took the route of sin. You know what I mean? Like, through music, because Lucifer in the Bible was a musician, right? Like, he was the musician. So I think that's what that was supposed to imply. I am a preacher boy. I was a godly kid, or raised to be a godly kid, but I held on to the music and chose this path instead. And I love that so much. So that was also, I don't want to say that was my interpretation. That's me thinking about it now after looking it up and stuff. You know what I mean? But that's what I got. I thought it was a great, like, to TJ's point, that last 20 minutes of him killing the KKK, that's like, yo, crazy, dog, crazy that he got. And it was almost like a saying like I'm about to go pop the trunk on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly what he did. He went to go pop the trunk, and he got that thing out the trunk. So I loved it.
I love when he threw the grenade in the car, man. When he threw the grenade in the car.
Oh, God.
Out of 10, what rating are you giving Sinners?
10 out of 10, man. I gotta go. I'm gonna see it again. I go into movies trying to nitpick. The only, like, that one scene I mentioned to you guys earlier was the only thing I could, even if I wanted to nitpick. You brought up a really good point about the inconsistencies in their powers, but like, I don't know if I care enough about that to like say, you know, a guy on Twitter, I said it was, I do letterbox scores 5 out of 5, and this guy on Twitter was like, nah, I got it at a 4 or 4.5 out of 5 because I wanted the villain to be explored more. But I actually, and I debated back with him. I'm like, I actually loved the mystery behind the villain, because it went more so into like how every culture could have a griot, like we can channel spirits. His was Irish, right? He was Irish. So and to your point earlier, the oppression that the Irish had to go through. Now he's a vampire. I thought the mystery behind that character actually added more to the cultural like focus of this movie, of spirits being the focus of this movie. So I thought it was great all around. 10 out of 10.
Ryan, give me a rating out of 10. And then I also want to ask you, because there's been some buzz on socials about this, does this movie have franchise potential? And if so, what would be next? Because it did feel like a fairly concluded story.
Oh, okay. Let's go with the rating first. That's like it's so like for me, a 5 out of 5 is so hard to give on like a first watch. It's because like I really do need to sit with it, like we said at the beginning of this podcast. But like as we talk about it, as I listen to the music, like there's all these things that you pick up on. You're like, damn, like you know what? Yes. Like I'm like, you know what? And so like on initial watch, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 just because like I wasn't sure about like a bit of like some pacing stuff. But then as we talk about, like, it all makes sense, like, you know, why it has to be structured this way, like, or having like the mid-credit scene, the post-credit scene, and like Jam, I really love like your analysis of the post-credits after like looking it up, because like that really would make sense, and I feel like Coogler is so in touch with that kind of stuff. So that would I would love to interpret it that way. So with all of that, like I can't see, like, yeah, sure, there's some minor inconsistencies, but like they're not things that like hurt my viewing experience.
Yeah.
Like the set design is great, you know, like the music is amazing, cinematography like freaking amazing. We have to like say like I had her name down here. The cinematographer Autumn Durald Arkapaw, she's the first female cinematographer to work with IMAX cameras. So like, her talent with this is like, and she's a freaking collaborator with Coogler. But like, again, this is something where, you know, when it comes to award season next year, like I think, again, there's not that many movies out right now, but she's definitely getting a nom. I'm gonna say it here right now. And I will firmly stand on the belief that she could win. And like, you know, I'm trying to think of like movies coming out later this year that could beat her out. But I think like in terms of Oscar buzz and stuff like that, I know this is a horror movie and the Academy Awards don't really like give flowers to some horror, but like look at Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele kind of proved a lot of them wrong by like winning a lot of that. So, and again, another black writer and director. I think Coogler has that kind of like favor with, you know, the Academy, and I think all his collaborators like Ludvig, like Autumn, and even Michael B. Like I really hope, you know, that he gets a nom for this, because like this is honestly his like best role in my opinion, and best performance. So I think like, you know, I really hope this gets all the all the award nominations it deserves. And yeah, I'm gonna put it at 10 out of 10. There's like, I can't really see anything that hinders my experience with this.
I'm with you usually like that. I go in not trying to be 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, because to me that's a perfect movie. It's like, what's better? And I'm not saying this is one of my favorite movies. It's just that damn good. But I gotta give flowers, bro. I can't think of anything that like ruined my experience. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say, I know this doesn't make any sense mathematically, but I would say it's a 5 out of 5, but a 9.5 out of 10. Of just like,
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Because it's hard. Like it's hard,
Perfect.
man.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's, I think, the best movie I've seen since Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the range it is for me.
Yes. I said to people, like I told my lady, I said the only other movies in my lifetime that I think that it made me feel this way is Everywhere, Everything All at Once, They Clone Tyrone, and The Harder They Fall. Those are the three for me that I like just can't get over. And I gotta go rewatch the others, but like those, I'm there with you. Everything, everywhere, all at once, bro. Like,
Yeah,
Dennis,
I
what's
agree
your
with.
rating out of 10?
I agree with exactly what, because I was trying to think. I'm like, I don't want to give it a 10, but like I'm sitting there like there's nothing I can't dock points from it though. Like there's nothing I can be like, all right, I'm gonna take a point away. But if you ask me why, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Like I couldn't tell you. So that's like, you know what? I like the 5 out of 5, but the 9.5 out of 10. That's like
Yeah.
perfect. It's like I can't
Yeah.
have it be like this is the most perfect thing ever, but like it's up there in those conversations. So that's what I'll give it. And then franchise potential, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Like this is such a good one, and close that out, and like you can just let that breathe. But then again, like you could also have like kind of a spin-off movie of it actually being, since music is so generational, and he kind of did show that, like you could do like a piece of it being into modern world, but it won't hit the same. Like it's not gonna hit the same, but you can do it. You can do it, like, because some of the messaging in this movie can still be very similar in today's world. So like I think you can do a spinoff, but I wouldn't want a franchise out of it. I don't think I would want more than one and a maybe spinoff, and it doesn't need to happen. Jam already knows, I can hear Rico being like, we don't need that at all. We don't need that at all. But yeah, that's kind of where I sit with the franchise question.
That's how I feel too. I just don't think it's necessary because of how great of a concluded one-time thing film this felt like. Having said that, it for sure has franchise potential, because you just say, hey, Michael B. Jordan and Hailee Steinfeld are vampires now.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to go into a bunch of different locations and a bunch of different cultures throughout time and fuck shit up. And there's going to be music.
Listening to Sammy's music.
Like, that's success.
Oh,
that's successful.
Okay, wait.
That's like that works.
What you could do like what Smile 2 did, where it's like focusing on a pop star and how like the Smile curse continues because of her. I think you could do that, like what Jam you just said. Like people are listening to Sammy's music, and that's what draws them in. And I don't know what you do. That's Ryan Coogler's job. But like I think that's a good draw, to like the generational thing, and like there could be people who are like misinterpreting his lyrics. Like I think you could do it like a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, where it's like people are misinterpreting Sammy's music and like spinning it in a more negative kind of way, and like that's where Michael B. Jordan and Hailee are like, no, you guys are we're the kind of like the hero of that story, where it's like no, we're trying to pay respect to Sammy. Like you guys are tarnishing his name, his legacy.
Love it.
And oh my god, wait a minute. Okay, now I'm kind of for that. I don't need it. But if they were to go that way, I could see it. Like that's the kind of way I would like it to go. But yeah, no, I don't know. I do want to see Coogler do more original ideas and not like build these franchises. I mean, he could, but like I think when he comes up with an original idea, like, and this is his first, like Fruitvale Station, true story. Creed, based in a franchise. The Black Panther, obviously, like based in comics. So this is his first original idea. So like to see that this is something so personal to him, and like honestly, such a magnum opus of like all the work he's done so far. I don't know how he tops himself, but I know he will. Like he will. Like he will find a way. Like he's challenging himself with every movie. Like you can see aspects of like his different stuff in Sinners, and so whatever he learns from Sinners and it applies to the next movie, like I'm excited for that. But yeah, no, like I love this movie, man. I can't talk about it enough.
Thanks.
Ryan, on that note of you'd love to see him do more original ideas, we know Black Panther 3 is coming. There will be another Black Panther film. Obviously, Coogler is going to be heading it. What should / what will be Ryan Coogler's next film? What do you think is the next time we're sitting here talking about his next masterpiece? Is it Black Panther 3? Is it a different Marvel film? Is it another original? Is it a Sinners spin-off or franchise sequel? I do think while we're still on that note, another potential cool story would be at the exact same time telling the Choctaw Nation story and their experience with these vampires and weave their music into it. And I think that would be very, very different and maybe out of his comfort zone. That would require a lot of different perspectives
Research.
to come in and aid that.
Research, yeah.
But I think that would be cool. I will say, before I actually throw it to you, I'm selfish. I asked you a question and I'm answering. But I don't know what Ryan Coogler's next film will be. I know what Ryan Coogler's next film should have been. And it's pretty clear after watching this movie that this man should have been in charge of Blade the entire damn time.
Woo. Bro. Why is Marvel like why wasn't this offered to him already? Like, goddamn. The fact that
they're going to now.
I feel like superhero who don't, and we can't, it's in development hell. We can't get it made. Who do we know that very clearly knows how to make a movie about Black culture and Black history? Oh, and hey,
vampires.
made about a good movie about vampires. Oh, hey, who has made a good movie about a Black superhero twice? Come on.
Yeah, man.
Now, I will say, if it's not Blade, I do want to this is not my idea. This is our friend Up to Task. This is his idea. And he was saying that, like, with this Blade movie having trouble getting off the ground, just don't do it yet. Do Midnight Suns first. Have Blade in a Midnight Suns movie. Have him be introduced there, then do a Blade movie. And so, if
you
I
want
were
to tell him my theory, Dennis?
Yeah.
If I should let it free. If I would pitch, like, what should Michael Coogler do next? It would be a Midnight Suns movie for the MCU.
So I had a theory based on, I seen Task talk about that, like just basically canceling Blade and moving over to the Midnight Suns. I want to add on to that theory. I just told Dennis yesterday or the day before, something like that. But I think they should do that, right? But I think they should make a Black Knight special presentation, base it off of right after Eternals, introduce Blade and the Midnight Suns there, so we have that build up, and then from the Black Knight special presentation, go straight into Midnight Suns. I think that's really the best segue from Eternals and that ending post-end credit scene to still building up towards a Midnight Suns movie. Because I think if they're gonna start, like with Marvel, I know we're going on a whole thing, but with Marvel, I'm always fearful when it's just a movie that is coming out of nowhere with no build up. I think we need some payoff for Black Knight, as well as to build up the Midnight Suns. So that was to add on to Task's theory, because I do think we're at that point with Blade. It's like Mahershala Ali is not getting any younger. He's been signed on with this project for 6 years, and he's being very patient. But also, I don't want to say it's hindering him from other roles, but like we gotta give the man his respects too. So I think we're at that point now. As fans, it's like, like you said, we've been in development vampire hell at this point. Like, can we please get it going?
Yeah,
Ryan. Now I will ask you, what will his next movie be? What should his next movie be?
Okay. So, I mean, this just came out yesterday where he said, like, his next project, at least, will be the X-Files reboot, which I haven't seen. That's, like, my own blind spot. But, again, Coogler's name, I'm going to see it. I don't care. So that's more supernatural, like, more sci-fi, which is kind of cool. Again, I love that Coogler is just bouncing around different genres. And, he's, like, going to put his own spin on it a little bit. In terms of film, God, like, with the way Doomsday Secret Wars is coming out, like, there's no space for Black Panther 3, and even if they were to work on it now, it would come after Secret Wars for sure. But like, I could see it being Black Panther 3. The fact that, like, he's talking to Denzel, Like the fact that he's even like writing it, it's like, okay, there's an idea there. We'll let him cook on that. I think he can bounce back where it's like, let me do a Marvel, let me do my own, let me do a Marvel, let me do my own kind of thing. And so I think for now, like probably the next thing would be like Black Panther 3, but I would like him to go back to an original piece after that, because it's also a nice experience for him to kind of like breathe a little bit. I know he was so stressed with like the Wakanda Forever stuff, like, you know, with everything going on with that, like, and it was such a event film with what he did. The scale of that movie was so big. So I think like let him do some bigger stuff. I don't even know where he could go with Black Panther 3 to top what Wakanda Forever was. But I think like after that, like let him do something smaller, more intimate, and you know, let his creative juices flow. I think like, you know, he loves doing, he enjoys doing his own spin on things, and I think Sinners has proved well enough, like he has these great original ideas built off from his own experiences, and they're all great. So yeah, Black Panther 3, I don't know when that will be, but the fact that, you know, Denzel's in talks and stuff like that, I think and we know Letitia is like, Letitia and oh my God, what's Winston Duke are going to be in Doomsday. Like, you know, there's still some story there with them. So I hope that gets in the works sooner rather than later.
Dennis, I swear I wasn't trying to get rid of you early.
No, you could.
I threw it to you and said, feel free to give socials and stuff. But now I'm trying to get rid of all of us because we've been here for 2 hours. So give me a prediction of what you think Ryan Coogler's next movie will be, or what you want it to be. And then let me know where the people can find you on socials and where they can find your content.
Got you. Prediction. I'm gonna say probably it's still probably gonna be like Ryan said, still probably Black Panther 3. But if I had to if I wanted to like see what he would do with like a sci-fi kind of like, hey man, throw Michael B. Jordan and some black people in space and see what happens kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like some futuristic, throw us in space, keep music tied with it, you know.
I love how simple that
work.
idea is, but at the same time, there's no fucking way I wouldn't be there on day one.
Yeah. Okay, where can I put Michael B. Jordan? In a boxing ring, in Wakanda, in space. Like, let's do it. I'm like, yeah, why not?
Why not?
Michael B. Jordan been?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like a futuristic kind of movie, maybe. I'd be curious to see how he would do with one of those. I don't want the music to go away though. I think the music aspect of what he does with his films is fantastic. Even, you know, back with Sinners, like just like it's such a, especially with this culture and even back in the day, it's such a like something that they look something we all look towards, you know, in a moment of struggle. Like, you know, people could say like music help them through some hard times all the time, right? And that's a very prominent thing in Black culture, and even with like the music with the church and stuff too, like going to church. I know we didn't really talk much about the church stuff, but even that, like going back to church is like, you know, a big thing. But as far as what I would like to see next, yeah, like throw some people in space, see what happens, and let him figure out the rest. I'm sure he could come up with something wonderful, you know. So
Michael B. Jordan, Hailee Steinfeld go to space with music.
There it is. And then the alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's do the plug. The alternate timeline is where you can find us. I think you can see on the screens at the alt time on all socials. But yeah, on YouTube, the alternate timeline. A little bit of a break right now. Work life has gotten exhausting. So a little bit of that, but we cover a lot of the same stuff, superheroes, anime, and all that stuff. And my boy Jam is with me most of the time. So yeah, and pass it off.
Jam, how about you? Where can the people find you on socials, and you have any exciting content coming up?
Jam on also Jam Session, excuse me, on all socials, as well as uh, helping Dennis whenever he has me for the TAT family. That's my guy. I do a podcast myself called the Jam Pod. I call it Journey Across Media Podcast. Basically just whenever I want to drop content. It was originally a weekly thing, but I feel like creativity doesn't have a schedule. So I really just whenever I get the creative juices flowing, got things like Sinners that I love and people that want to talk, I get them on there. I do have a new episode coming probably this week. Episode 7 will be on my YouTube and all podcasting platforms. Going to be talking about Dragon Ball Daima with some of my friends. They're actually going to be the first guest that I have on there. So it's going to be really a good time. My first time really getting into guests and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm on Jam Session on all socials and over there at the alternate timeline. Man, make sure you guys check us out. Dennis does a lot of great things with us over there. A lot of reactions, episodes where we just kind of do deep dives on like this, what things that we like. And he got me into the article world, man. Writing articles. I appreciate him every day for that because I never thought I would be doing that, but I am writing articles for the alternate timeline. So yeah, check us out on all platforms.
Appreciate you having both of you on today. This has been an absolute blast. Definitely check out Jam Stuff, check out the alternate timeline, and check out Ryan's work in addition to the incredible stuff he does at Agents of Fandom. You can find his Sinners review dropping shortly, maybe even potentially when by the time you're listening to this episode of the podcast. And you can find his work, his words, his beautiful face over at Collider as well. Ryan, where can people find you on socials? And do you have any good content coming up?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Ryan_reflects. I'm on. I used to use Blue Sky a little bit more. I haven't ever since. But I'm like, I think I'm Ryan Cortero there. Simple enough. But yeah, in terms of Collider, I've also been taking a bit of a break there with all the wedding planning stuff. This is honestly like my first thing back, like the Sinners review, like written review, and this podcast is like kind of my first thing back into the pop culture world a little bit. But no, I mean, yeah, that Sinners review, I'm very excited for that to come out. I mean, you heard a lot of my thoughts here, but like, you know, it's just good to be in this content again. In terms of Collider, I mean, there's so much good TV. Probably something on The Last of Us will be coming soon. I don't have anything written yet, but like The Last of Us season 2 is out and it is going to be an emotional ride. So probably expect some content with that show coming up in the coming weeks.
In addition to Ryan's content for The Last of Us, you can find mine and Sean Mott's Metalcore Nerds, our live The Last of Us show every single Monday. So make sure you join us for that. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our shows. We will also be live every Wednesday talking Andor. So it's Monday for The Last of Us, Wednesday for Andor, Thursday for the Comic Corner. Plus, we will have our show for a Thunderbolts review, which again, we have a very exciting interview. I cannot tell you when it's coming or who it's with, but I promise it will be worth the wait for Thunderbolts. Plus, you can find my interview with Kyle Solar and Denise Gao, aka Dedra and Cyril from Andor, up on the Agents Fandom YouTube page or wherever you get your podcasts, with my interviews with Mon Mothma and Luthen coming soon. So stay tuned for that. Plus, Sean, aka Metalcore Nerds, he's also going to be interviewing the director for Thunderbolts for us very shortly, and that'll be up on the Agents Fandom YouTube page and wherever you get your pods as well. That'll do it. 2 hours of sinning coming to a close. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. On behalf of myself, Ryan, Jam, and Dennis, we will see you next time.